And what in heaven's name brought you to Casablanca?
My health. I came to Casablanca for the waters.
The waters? What waters? We're in the desert.
I was misinformed.
He taught me, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent.
You're tearing me apart!
What?
You say one thing, he says another, and everybody changes back again!
I love that liner. Senator Mark Koran with us. I don't know if a person trying to keep up legitimately here in Minnesota, you can have any way of deciding what you're getting is right or wrong. Everybody seems to be getting the big win here. Nothing got done. The session didn't get done on time. Your thoughts sitting here the day after that, once again, we got to go to special session to get our work done.
Yeah, and I think when everybody kept wondering about the results of the election, right, where we have a one-seat majority in the House, or one seat, we have one position with the House being tied 67-67, so they have to have a Republican vote. I think the actions in the behavior of the Democrats, who are the majority in the Senate, of course, by 162 votes, one Senate seat, and the House is, I don't think they had a plan B. I think they went into this session. Normally, you would plan your agenda and everything all in the fall, and you would roll out your agenda. They never rolled out an agenda that you could see in the bill composition, anything other than, we still don't think we need a Republican vote or an opinion in any of the legislating process. Yeah. And so the arrogance of it, and then I think the transformation of, when you look at the Senate had a massive transformation in 2024 from the perspective of, 2022 when they took the majority. And many of them are just kind of wild activists. They've never been told no and never told anyone no. So there's a huge tussle within that caucus. In the House, they only had 8 Democrat members who ever served in the minority at all.
No.
And so you can see that come through. And so I think they're doubling down on some pretty radical policies that the average Minnesotans just don't agree with.
Let's talk about that for just a second, because Thursday was the drop dead date for me. I was laughing so hard. I shouldn't, but I did. I see that the governor's on TV with all the leaders of both the Senate and the House standing behind him, goes through this long thing about how great it is. Everybody gave up a little something. No one got everything they wanted. Everybody should be happy with this. Then there's just thud, thud, thud on the door in the background, people screaming. And you went off, I did, off the top and said, this has got to be Republicans. The governor's talking, they're not happy. And then you switch the camera outside. It's 20, 30 Democrats, his team, that are not happy. You're killing our communities.
Legislators, Al.
Yes.
Legislators, yes.
So this is what, stunner. I'm sorry, and I don't know how this all works, how they didn't know that was coming down the road. If they did, then they had to plan this. And I throw this out, and I don't mean any ill will to Senator Fatah. His Uber move last year, the Fatah move, I've called it. It's so tight. He wanted to get that Uber bill passed. He was going to go to the mat on this bad boy. You're going to have, right? Now he's on the other side of this deal as well, him and now more than 20 other legislators. And we know what he'll do. He'll go to the mat. He said, well, shut this baby down. I shouldn't laugh because it's a state government. But where do you go from here? If the governor, Senator Murphy, who's supposed to have those folks all wrangled up and if they aren't all on the same sheet of music, what happens, Senator? What are we looking at? Stopping the government?
Well, yeah, you go then. Which, if we don't have a budget by July 1st, right, the government shuts down. And interestingly enough, it will finally be the proper leverage, not the leverage point, but those deadlines and due dates drive action, right? And urgency drives action. And then it's really about the kind of that playing chicken. And I don't mean chicken to diminish the value. Yeah. But really, who thinks a shutdown would benefit them, from politically? And are you willing to run up to that position in this? But it'll be very different. The Supreme Court in the past, the legislature has kind of punted off to the Supreme Court, and they would deem who's essential in a shutdown. At the federal level, a shutdown is always affected about 15% of the workforce. Yeah. In Minnesota's case, they would shut down all the things that you actually want out of government and none of the things you don't want.
Yeah.
But the Supreme Court was in the middle, just kind of allowing the expenditures to occur. Now that is over. And so this would be the first threshold that would be a real shutdown. There would be critical services, prisons, law enforcement, right? Some of those, but that's it. The rest would be shut down. And so it's the way it should be, because those are the things that drive action, like all the deadlines and due dates and the rules we used to have in the legislature. We're there to drive action and put in pressure points to cause these things to be corrected. Now, remember, they're all banging on the door. Remember the tolerant people that are loud, violent, and disrespectful and disgusting to this institution. What they're battling for is they want to continue and expand benefits to illegals. People here legally broke into this country. They have no differentiation. They think a resident, based on residency, you should have all of the benefits and are doing of a legal U.S. citizen in Minnesota. And they gave them legal Minnesota resident IDs in 2023. 2024, they gave illegals free college, right? Yeah. Our hardworking legal Minnesotans trying to do everything right can't afford some of those things. And in this case, the governor and the Democrats agreed they were going to cut they found money to fund the health care for illegals through Medicaid and otherwise. And they are going to use $221 million out of nursing homes. So, and it's almost it's literally the numbers when you get it from the fiscal people, it's about $220 million cost for the health care for the illegals. And they'll just take it out of our most needy in the nursing home environment.
But you mentioned, sir, who would benefit from a government shutdown? If you're willing, and again, Senator Fatah, if he's willing to stand up yesterday, beat on a door, and say straight out, I'll close this bad boy down. I think these people deserve health care, Minnesota care. We all should pay for an illegal sitting here. He's willing to say it out loud. His constituents, they know it now, whether he shuts down the government or not. They know that's where he stands. So he must already calculate it in his district. That will gain him brownie points. That will gain him votes. So that's why. And then if you say, I'll even shut this bad boy down and get it, now those same people are like, send him money, baby. This is the guy doing our work. Somebody's doing some polling. What does it poll in Minnesota to give illegal aliens free Minnesota care? Now,
those people all reside in non-competitive districts, right? So they're just feeding their base, and that is the group they pander to the most. But they're very clear. Their priorities. I said it since day one of when President Trump was elected. He's working for the hardworking legal U.S. citizen, and the Democrats are working for everyone except the hardworking legal U.S. citizen, and that's what they've declared. They said, "Well, we'd rather not fund elderly care." And now the $220 million, which is almost a swap, that's only the state portion of the money. In the nursing home side, it's about another 50% of our federal dollars. So it'd be pulling out $450 million out of our elder care, for which it's collapsing, if you've noticed. It's streamed for money today. So.
See, what I think they're going to do here, and this is the long-term play, what I see happening, they're going to say when Donald Trump says, wait, you're giving illegal aliens school, you're giving them health care, we are now going to cut the subsidies to you, whatever it was, 90 to 80%. They're going to cut that down. Yeah. Then the Democrats can say, Donald Trump is hurting your elderly. It wasn't us. Yeah. We're trying to give it out. It's all set up on Trump doing something like that. Am I missing something? No, it's going to be blamed on the Republicans.
They're saying basically, right, we've seen the review at the federal level. It said, we're going to fund the people who are eligible for Medicaid and Medicare, right? Legal Minnesota or legal U.S. citizens. And the Democrats are saying, whoa, wait a second. We got a lot of fraud, waste, abuse, and people ineligible in those systems. They're going to cut those out. In addition to, at the higher education level, the horrible policies that you're going to, this DEI, which were actually instilling systemic racist policies in statute that weren't there before, that they're reestablishing those. And those are the practices that the governor, the president has said, and our governor's doubling down, our colleges are doubling down and saying, we're going to do it because it's our top priority. again, it's a disservice to everybody, and it's illegal. It's unconstitutional to have race or melanin content to be a deciding factor on anything we do. But they're doubling down on it. So those will be the dollars that will be removed. And at the end of the day, when should government actually look and review itself to understand what it should fund, what it shouldn't fund, in addition to the cost to deliver the services? Government has grown exponential, and the outcome of the product has gotten worse every day.
Okay. You asked a question, I'll give you the number. $66 billion. As soon as you get to $66 billion a year on our budget in the state of Minnesota with 5 million people, you need to look and see, where are we wasting it? What should we be doing? Not $66 billion is the number. We'll be back after this. I want to talk with Senator Mark Koran a little bit more.
All the special interests are represented in St. Paul. But who speaks for you? Center of the American Experiment does. Our policy fellows dig into the tough issues that matter to you and offer common sense solutions on education, taxes, crime, and energy. American Experiment is the trusted, nonpartisan voice of Minnesotans like you. We are working every day to make Minnesota a better, safer, more prosperous place. We are American Experiment. Go to americanexperiment.org to learn more.
Achieving your financial goals requires individual planning and a comprehensive approach. At Midwest Money Management, our mission is to provide you with the knowledge, tools, and confidence to feel comfortable financially today and secure about tomorrow. Learn more at MidwestMoneyManagement.com. That's MidwestMoneyManagement.com.
Securities offered through JW Cole Financial Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through JW Cole Advisors Inc., Midwest Money Management, and JW Cole Financial Inc. and JW Cole Advisors Inc. are unaffiliated entities.
Don't need to ask him his opinion more than once. Al Travis on the Al Travis Show.
Lucky to have him, Senator Mark Koran, in with us, talk about what's going to happen next, sir. Here's what I'd like to walk me through. I did read this deal, and thank goodness they signed this. For folks who don't know, now we're in special session time. We're out of committee. We can't have committees anymore. So now the powers that be have signed a deal. All four of them completely agree. We now have a special work group plan. The people who are on the conference committees are basically going to be doing the workforce plan. It's the same thing, but we call it something different because that's how we get things done. But what I love about this thing is it says Work groups will have until 5 o'clock tomorrow, to complete the negotiations, sign the spreadsheet, and sign off on language. So all we needed was this thing being called a work group, and in 2 days, everything's done. Do you believe this is going to happen, sir? This is brilliant. We should have done this days ago.
Yeah, well, the goal would be, the real goal, I think, is to try and get this done in the next 2 weeks. So the deadlines, like you always have with conference committees, is really to have it done. And the conference committee should function like any other committee. It should be in the public, right? It should be a hearing in the public view, just like any other committee. That process has really been bastardized over the last 2.5, 3 years now. So I don't know what the theme would be, except that with the Democrats in control, Senator Murphy was astounding in their ability to lie. In the press conference said, well, she just shocked at the lack of transparency in the conference committee process, Al, that it's not informing, and for which she's solely responsible for. So it's disgusting to me. It's another part of the process they've just bastardized and threw out the rules. But the conference committee is a few members of each a body. In the Senate, it's 4 Democrats and 1 Republican. In the House, it's 2 and 2. And one of the good things that they negotiated in the House, because you really have kind of a fourth vote or a fourth of the negotiating leverage, they have to have 3 members of the House Conference Committee membership to move anything, to move any decision. So if either body, neither of their members vote, that it dies regardless of what the Senate does. That provision, the decisioning, it dies. But they set the deadline, and what that means, Al, is they're going to continue to negotiate. There's a little more pressure to get it done. If it goes beyond 2 weeks, then there'll be so many people. The lobby infrastructure, people start, right? Everybody's going to be looking at everything, and they're going to think we can let's open up every single facet of negotiations. The goal is not to do that. The deadline will be, hey, if you don't get it done, then leadership's going to step in, and they will have to make those decisions and go through those negotiations. How do the Democrats, the wild radicals who want to prioritize illegals over citizens, come to the table? Because if you saw, they were all pissed off. They burn it down, and they've said this is the hill to die on, and they're gonna. Then I think they mean it. So what did they promise them? That's the interesting part for us, to get them to be compliant, to do the minimal work that was actually done over the last few days. Some of the budget bills, no major bills were done. Budget bills were done.
Isn't it always? And I mean, in a situation like this, the management's going to say to these 20, don't worry, you get us through this session, we'll highlight how much you fought for this, we'll get you extra money, we're going to make sure you're back. And when we take control of all 3 legs again, you're the first bill we pass.
Yeah, actually, I think this one, I'm sure some of that's gone on. But remember, Democrats gain compliance for their people before they let them occupy their slot on the ballot, Al. So they gain compliance long before you have to toss any spiffs, because they also have rewards programs. Do you need a job? Do you need income while you serve? All those things that we don't do or have. But I think around this, I think the one piece with this illegal support for or prioritizing illegals is they must have promised them, don't worry, we're going to get this no matter how at the end of the day. And I'm not sure how they're going to do it. It is not
conference
something
committee.
We're going to move on. Our House Republicans are not going to move on that. It's not the priority that we're setting for Minnesota. So how is that going to play out? That will be the interesting piece. But I think they're going to try to overpower the House leadership, and I don't think Lisa Damith is going to do that. So.
One last thing. So we did have talk of bonding. There's a whole bonding group. They had can that even go anywhere? Is that going to be thrown in the mix with the whole big beautiful bill that you're doing, or is bonding done for the year?
Not until nothing's ever done now. We're not done with the session.
Well, you're supposed to be out of session. All of a sudden a bonding bill would show up when you go to sign this at a special session, and boom, you can do both?
Bonding bills always are finalized and assembled in about the last 48 hours, literally down to the last minutes of being able to produce. Right now, if bonding was ever to occur, it would be less than $700 million, around $700 million. It would likely be actual real infrastructure if we so choose to do bonding, but it's not going to be done until all the budget agreements are done. That comes at the last possible time.
Right.
So, but if it's real infrastructure, our cities and counties need it for wastewater treatment, bridges, roads, all of those things. You could probably find some support for that. I'm not sure that there's support for it right today.
Senator, we are out of time. You know I love having you on the show. I thank you for taking the time to do this with us every other week. I really do. I appreciate you.
My pleasure, Al. Thank you.
He's Senator Mark Koran on the Al Travis Show.